Sorry. Hi, Davian. Sorry, I was just so into the intro music, but I totally forgot we were doing this. Sorry.
Yeah, it wasn't as lengthy as it normally is. It kind of
No,
ended a bit quick. Hence why I think it caught you out as well.
did it? Oh, because it's actually the same video I play every time, so it should have been the same length.
It's playing with us today, or StreamYard, one of the two.
StreamYard. How are you? How are you?
Oh, I am good. A little bit tired today, man. You know, like I was saying just before we got on the air. You know, attended a funeral yesterday, so I was actually performing with the marching band. And then after that, within 3 hours of doing that, we performed at a candlelight, which is something that happens here, tradition 9 days after someone passes away. They have a candlelight visual, you know, from the house onto the all the way out to on the street where they live. So usually it can be from like the beginning of the street, like where their road starts from, all the way to the house, and the community comes out with candle and walk. So we were doing that last night. So it was a hectic. But you know, under the circumstances, even though it was quite sad, it was a beautiful thing. I mean, we were playing so loud. It felt like I was in a nightclub when I got home because my ears was ringing from how loud we were playing. Even today, it was still like ringing. It's only like now, you know, it's finally kind of subsided where I can hear without hearing any ringing sound in my head.
That's good. Despite being a sad day, it sounds like it was a beautiful day as well. Talking about, I'm okay. I'm a bit tired as well. Had a bit of a gluttonous day today as well. I think I've eaten a bit too much, which is making me a bit tired. But I will be going to the gym tomorrow. Well, I'll intend to work it off, but I'll probably just sit on the weight bench and just look in the mirror for an hour.
It still counts going to the gym. That's exercise in itself.
Exactly. I'll walk there.
Yeah.
I thought about picking up a weight. But yeah, talking about beautiful places. In Loki episode 3, we visited Lamentis. Lamentis 1.
Lamentis 1.
Yes. Hello, elevators. I hope you're well.
Hello, elevators.
So yeah, let's just go straight into some major talking points of the episode. So obviously we had the episode where they get taken to Lamentis, and we see some bonding between Loki and Sylvie, as we now know her name to be. But one of the big talking points that I pulled out the episode was that we find that the TVA are not who they claim to be. Shock horror, something we discussed last week.
Yeah, that was actually pretty crazy. But I mean, we were kind of onto something in a way, but not exactly that, because we did say that, judging by that TVA's agents' reaction, where they were like literally like in a state of shock, that something was revealed to them, but we wasn't sure what it was. But in fact, it was the opposite. It was actually something that was then now revealed to us.
But it was actually the trauma of Sylvie using her enchantress powers.
Yeah, but I'm saying it was
probing into her mind.
Revealed to us. Now we found out that, you know, like you said, that they're not what we think they are, which is they're not created by the timekeepers.
No, not as we thought. They're actually variants. I can hear some echo there. What's going on? Is that coming from you?
No, I can't hear any echo from you.
Okay.
It's just going smooth.
Testing 1 2. Okay, it's fine now. So yeah, so it seems as though everybody in there is a variant of something, which links on quite nicely to the point about Mobius. Remember from episode 2 where Mobius was having a drink in Renslay's office, and he puts his drink down on the table, and he doesn't put a coaster there, which is fine. Coasters are overrated, but there's lots of circles on the table, and Renslay's like, "Oh, you've made all those circles," and Mobius is like, "What are you talking about?" So obviously, has his memory been tampered with whilst
I think so.
Or is there maybe 2 Mobiuses, or maybe 3 Mobiuses, or 4 Mobiuses?
I don't even think so. I think it's more like what you said, the first one, which is, I think, just like what's been revealed, that they're from Earth, but they're not aware of it. So it seems as if when they've been recruited, maybe in the grand scheme of things with these timekeepers, decide, why just erase them when we can just get them to do our dirty work and do things for us. So what we'll do, we'll literally just, have them in a sort of matrix.
So
literally in the matrix there, where they're not even awake, so they're not even aware of what they actually are.
So the interesting thing here is, Davian, as you said, these are actually variants, which they've captured. Possibly, they must have captured them, and these are the ones which they haven't disintegrated and used their little prodding machines on. So essentially, are they using prison labor to carry out their missions?
Yeah, possibly, and it seems as if maybe some have been there a lot longer than others, because for the same TVA agent who's been there a couple hundred years, she's been an agent. But yet, if you think about it, she loved milkshakes. So how would she know of milkshakes when milkshakes wasn't invented a couple hundred years ago?
Exactly. So I just got a door of a message. Does this prove that the Davie grammar? We'll have a talk later. Does this prove that there is a variant? No, Davie. We're not going to be talking about Zemo's butler today. But
yeah, I think I get it. What he's saying, he's saying doesn't prove that this is a variant. Who's the power broker for Zemo? Hey, you never know what's going on. But the funny thing is, we're laughing about it, but you don't know exactly how much, who's being controlled and who's doing what, because these people are actually doing things, and they're not even aware that they're actually carrying out possible missions for timekeepers, which is to the detriment of mankind or whatever. Because there must be a reason why the all-powerful timekeepers didn't, like you said, one, use AI to carry out all these missions, and two, why they would actually kidnap these variants and not let them know that they're variants.
I remember, and destroy their minds. Because what does Sylvie say? What does Sylvie say about that Minuteman, which she was trying to probe to get the location of the timekeepers? She says her mind, I can't remember the exact phrase she uses, but it's something along the lines of her mind was a mess, her mind was ruined. They've been doing some pretty bad things to these Minutemen by the sounds of it.
Well, for all these variants that they've I'll put it in quotes, recruited.
Yeah, 100%. So we got a lot of damaged variants. Now, there's another question: where do these variants come from?
But yeah, that's the thing. I think it's probably variants from all over. Maybe these were variants from the previous issue with the time stream before it was one time stream. They kidnapped them from those ones. Literally, I'm thinking even crazier now. I'm thinking maybe
100%.
Yeah, I think maybe what they've done, Manny, is they kidnap all these variants from all those different realities. And what they've done was they probably had a whole lot more, but it's just the ones whose mind didn't probably collapse that was then made into the TVA agents.
Yeah.
And depending on how powerful your mind was, it would rank where you would be cast as a TVA agent. So if your mind was just enough to get through it, they have you as like an officer. But if your mind was really strong and you survived it without being damaged to a certain extent, then they have you higher up like they do with Mobius and, Khan's woman.
Okay, there's a few talking points to come out of this. Now that we know more, there's two things. So in episode 2, we saw that Renslayer had a pen from Franklin D. Roosevelt School or College, which suggests that she has a life outside of, she had a life previously as well. So possibly her life before she was a TV agent was somehow connected to that school.
Yeah.
Possibly. And there's a second point which just totally slipped my mind, unfortunately. Sorry. Oh no, Mobius, the jet ski. Do you think maybe, a friend of mine said to me yesterday, do you think maybe his thing about the jet ski, actually maybe in his previous life he did own a jet ski, or he maybe lived by a beach and he loved jet skiing, possibly?
Or maybe he was on a jet ski when he was kidnapped, abducted. So
Possibly.
that's the last possible, because, like, for instance, like, where they say sometimes the last image or the last memory someone has is something that, burns in their mind, so they'll wake up thinking about that. Or if you watch something, you go to bed, you dream about it. So it's the last thing that was actually, you interacted with, or what you were doing. So maybe he was actually on a jet ski when he was actually abducted by the timekeepers.
So maybe he was like on his jet ski, and then like this portal opens up in front of him. He just drives his jet ski straight into the portal, into like the TVA offices, which is possible. Another thing I want to ask, and again in the comments as well, like, please let me know as well. Are we even convinced the timekeepers exist or still exist? I'm not convinced the timekeepers are even a thing. I think they might be made up as some kind of false god to keep everybody else in check.
It could even possibly be a rogue Eternal that's been doing that.
What do you mean, celestial or eternal?
One of the Eternals.
Okay.
Who's be powerful enough to do certain things.
I tell you why I don't think that would be the case. I don't think the Eternals are at the same power of whoever's running the TVA.
But aren't the Eternals more powerful than the Celestial?
No. The Celestials created the Eternals. Yeah. I might have to do a video one day, David, explaining the entire hierarchy of the universe in the MCU.
Yeah, we should definitely do.
I'm more than happy to do that. I'll take screenshots and stuff, and
yeah, that would be good. Manny P, 1 second, because it's now pouring down the rain.
I can hear the rain.
Open, but it's loud. Let me close the door. Turn on the light.
Okay. So yeah, I personally think the timekeepers might not even be real, as my dearest cousin says here. Timekeepers are a form of propaganda. I think very much the timekeepers are possibly a form of propaganda. From episode 1, all we've seen is propaganda from the timekeepers about the really good job they do keeping the timelines intact. And we've got Miss Minutes, and we've got posters, and we've got cartoons telling a fun little story about how the TVA were the good guys and how the timekeepers were the good guys. But we haven't actually got any proof of any of that. And Davian seems to be half asleep, but we haven't got any proof of that whatsoever.
I think they do exist, but I don't think it's possibly who we think it is. I don't think it's Kong or someone like that. I think it's someone who's been around for a long time. Based on the fact with the amount of Infinity Stones and things like that they have collected, it means that it's someone who's immortal, that's been around, where time isn't a factor. But in terms of who it could be, I mean, if you look at, for instance, I go back to episode 1, when, the office guy, the one who had the Infinity Stones in his desk drawer, when Loki referred to him as saying, I'll gut you like a fish, and he's like, what's a fish? And we all thought that was strange. Maybe he's actually from a world where fishes did not exist. There was nothing like that.
That's actually a really good point, because we did see in the first episode a Skrull being taken into custody.
Right.
So, and the TVA world does seem to be huge. So it's definitely possible that there's a lot more different types of races and beings there.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't even look like a human. Maybe he's probably like he's got a shape shifting ability.
Like
And when
Skrulls
he
have.
was, when he was recruited, he was basically, when he was brainwashed to believe this is how you look, this is how you are. And he's changed in that form, and he's remained in that form since. Because he looks like a human, but the fact he didn't know what a fish was, no matter what culture, where you're from in the world, everyone knows what a fish is if you're from this planet. Even if you call it by a different name in your language, you know what it is or whatever. So the fact that he didn't, it means that he's possibly from a world where, he's from a race and a world where there's no such thing as fish.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. I think now we have to look at, with the revelation from episode 3, I think we have to look at everything through a different lens now from the one we looked at it through the previous week. But I mean, me personally, I'm still on the Kang train. And I'll tell you why I'm on the Kang train. It's because Renslayer in the comics was a love interest of Kang's. And I just think of all the TVA people they could have put in there, because there are quite a few of them in the comics, why put Renslayer in there?
But
It just
maybe it's
feels
too obvious also, Manny,
Mhm.
because all the knowledgeable folks out there like yourself would put that together very easily. So maybe they're doing
saying
that
that
to throw us off.
they're
So
trolling
when
me.
it's revealed, it's going to be a complete shock. It will be something like, oh my God, I did not see that coming.
Damn you, 5G, damn you. I'll tell you another reason why I quite like the idea of it being Kang. Kang is actually believed to be like a ancestor of Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
So I quite like it as an idea, as a way to kind of bring in the Fantastic Four as well.
Yeah, but how would you explain the creation of the TVA for hundreds of years?
Well, thousands, millions of years by the sounds of it. It sounds like they've been in place
Yeah,
since the
but I
start.
mean, those ages, from what we know, we just know that they've been around from God knows how long, but let's even say for a few hundred years. That
Yeah,
wouldn't
because we
even
don't know the
cover
entire. We don't know
Kang.
whether they're telling the truth or not.
Yeah, we don't know Kang's um if is he immortal?
No, he's not. He's a human being. He's a human being with very good tech.
So then therefore then it could not be him unless he's just that advanced where he managed to create a time machine of sorts, go back in time
That is
and
literally his power, which he uses with his tech. He's literally a man who's got a time machine. That is his. Is that a storm outside?
that's just a typical Caribbean rain, and you get some lightning and thunder.
Okay, well, if you get hit by lightning at any point, I'm just going to continue without you. The show must go on.
Yeah. The show must go on. Be professional.
Yep. Doesn't matter how much you're frying in front of me. So Kang's literal power is. I'll tell you a bit about Kang. Basically, he is believed to be a descendant of Reed Richards and maybe even possibly Doctor Doom. He might even be related to Doctor Doom in some way. And he had like an obsession with history. I thought the sound effects was for the time travel. I mean, Mr. Trick there, Dave, and you should have said you were putting sound effects in.
Yes, the room's gonna change. You're gonna see me back in the day, dinosaurs and everything.
You've got to see Davey dressed as Kang. And basically, Kang had this. He was obsessed with history, so he was a genius as well. So he builds a time machine, and he builds a time machine shaped in the Sphinx, which is cool, right?
Yeah.
So he goes to ancient Egypt, and he's actually Rama Tut. He goes there with his tech and all he knows. He takes over Egypt, as their pharaoh, and he is Ra-Matut. Kang is Ra-Matut in
Oh
history.
wow.
Yeah. And then when he goes, like, when he travels back away from ancient Egypt, he leaves his spaceship in Egypt as a mystery to basically mess with people. So people be asking, oh, who built that? And actually, it's Kang's spaceship all along.
Yeah, he just felt like leaving it there just
Yeah,
to.
just to mess with people.
That's funny.
Yeah, so that's Kang's thing. Kang's thing is very much a time traveler, but then you get into these other things where there's multiple Kangs in multiple universes. Sorry, I've got my collection of Amazon boxes behind me, and it actually looks a bit like a robot.
Yeah, with a smiley face.
Yeah, it's I need to put those in recycling. Yeah, so Kang, yeah, so there's like lots of other Kangs from other timelines, and there was a comic where they've done this big Kang get together where there's all these different types of Kang all getting together, and he also calls himself Immortus at some point as well. So Kang pops up in all different parts of the timeline in various other timelines, which is why I just think, even though the creators have said Kang is not going to feature in this series, they've lied to us before. The MCU. So even if he doesn't appear, I don't know. I just think Kang is somewhere. He's just somewhere, Davian. He's somewhere.
Yeah, I get that, but why I'm not believing it might be him. Yeah, okay, fair enough. You're saying he can travel, you know, through time, back through time, but they're not, they're outside time. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So unless he's got that ability to go outside time, not just travel through time, then I can't see it being him then, because they're not in any time zone, in any time pool whatsoever. They're actually outside time,
Yeah, they're meant to
overseeing
exist outside of
the
time,
flow of time. Yeah, they're
kind of in a
overseeing the flow
nexus.
of time.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a good point. That's a good point. I can't contradict that point, but what I will say is that when you look at the three statues of the timekeepers, the one that looks like Kang has a different stance to the other two. The other two are kind of doing the same thing, but the one that's like Kang is right in the middle, kind of with a different look about him. Kang may not physically appear. That's what I think. I don't think we're going to see Kang in this series, but I just think with Kang going to appear in the Ant-Man movies, and the writers have said there's going to be something about this series which is going to impact the movies, whereas WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier don't really do that. They have said that Loki is going to do that. I just think Kang, I don't know, he's going to be a key proponent of the multiverse of madness.
Yeah, it's interesting, but it's just, again, I think it would be too obvious, especially now with everyone putting all these clues together, that that might be the case. I think in fact, you know what I think we probably need to start looking at? Even though I was very tired because it was gone midnight when I was watching episode 3 last night, which would have been 6 a.m. UK time this morning. And when I was actually watching it, when it was finishing, I started looking at something. I said, hang on. You notice it finishes, when it's finishing, it's about 5 minutes long, the ending of it,
Yeah.
of each episode.
Yeah.
And you've got that where you see all kind of things which looks like it's irrelevant, and then it gets to the end credits. Or should I say the ending where, like, all the information is rolling up.
Yep.
I'm wondering if there's something in that, but we're just not seeing it.
Yeah.
There's something that we haven't been looking at.
I thought the same thing. Luckily, there's a channel on YouTube called New Rockstars who analyze all those. So I'll probably just watch that and see what they come up with, as opposed to me going through it with a fine-tooth comb. My brother says in Ant-Man 2, a floating city is seen in the quantum realm, which you can see a little city in the background of the quantum realm. Could that be the TVA? Could be. Could a TVA actually exist in the quantum realm, which would then link Kang into the TVA through the quantum realm and into Ant-Man 2? But on the flip side, my brother will remember this better than I can. Okay, you probably remember in the 80s, you collected a Marvel comic called The Micronauts, was it? The Micro something, which was about the microverse, from what I recall. And I think that city is meant to be the city from that comic, which you collected in the 80s. I don't remember the comic being that great, in all fairness. But yeah, basically, it was a comic about the microverse and the people who lived within the microverse.
Yeah.
Yep, the Micronauts. Great. Yes, cool. I'm glad I've got that sorted. But yeah, so that's food for thought for the TVA. So let's just get our predictions down now so we can come back next week or the week after to see who's right. I think the TVA have basically given us a bad story, basically a false story about what really happened. You know, in the multiverse war, I think they're trying to keep the sacred timeline sacred because it's helping to power somebody. And I think Kang has his hand in this somewhere. What do you think?
Okay. That's your prediction?
Yep, sorry. Just one more comment. The microverse was an actual universe, micro-sized. That was it. Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so apparently we're going to see this microverse in Ant-Man, hopefully.
So my prediction is
showing off your chest there before you gave your prediction.
Yes, showing off the Davie P, the Veya Man T-shirt.
Okay.
This one, I have to go on record and say it sucked. Those guys are lousy. It was a new business, and I was trying to help them to see if they would do a good job, so we could, help them out and also get our stuff done. But they were just took them almost 10 days to make this, and then when they made it lousy. It was supposed to be the entire T-shirt covered in this, really large with the Davie P and the Veya. So they did a lousy job, and they had the nerve to actually send me a link to follow them on YouTube and comment.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We'll move on to somebody else. But yeah, what's your prediction regarding the TVA?
Yeah, I'm going to do that next week. But yes, my prediction. I do believe that someone or something is feeding off
the sacred timeline.
The secret timeline.
Sacred.
And yeah, the sacred timeline, I should say. Sorry. And I don't think it's Kang. I think this goes beyond. I think him. I think maybe, if anything, I think Kang might actually be an enigma like Loki, who's a possible threat.
I think Kang's a threat, 100%.
Is a threat to whoever or whatever that's doing this. And I think what they done, which was really smart, they actually got him, because if you say in the comics, he actually fell in love with her.
Mm-hmm.
Keep forgetting her name.
Renslayer.
What?
Ravonna Renslayer.
Renslayer. I like that name. That sounds like something from like Games of Thrones or something.
Yeah.
Renslayer. I think they're using her to try and distract him, by making him have a love connection. So therefore, by him having a love connection with her, that will probably distract him from actually really figuring out what's going on.
Yeah.
Which I think they're actually, interestingly, I think they were aware of Sylvie's ability to travel to these worlds that was just about to be destroyed. I think they were already aware that she was actually hiding out in there. But I think maybe Sylvie isn't what we think. I think maybe Sylvie's brought in to try and
that's gonna be my next big question. Yeah.
Loki, because if you notice, how do you go from being enemies to where now you're asking him what's his
what's his love interest? Is there a special woman, man? I think they're trying to figure out to see where he's going so they could possibly try and throw something in to distract him. Because at some point, it almost kind of looked as if like Sylvie was trying to like hit on him. Like there was something going on there.
She's the enchantress for a reason, and she's continually trying to enchant him. But let's just close up this point though, around Guano TVA, then we'll move on to Sylvie. My brother makes a point here, which I forgot to make, but I think is a really good point. They call it sacred so that people believe in it, which I think is a good point. Essentially, they've got this sacred timeline, and they call it the sacred timeline. Now we just thought sacred timeline, cool, whatever. But I think the term sacred within itself, that term has so much power within it. Why didn't they call it the prime timeline, or just the main timeline, or timeline number one? It's called the sacred timeline. It's like, it basically means under no circumstances can this timeline be
tampered with.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's just like what Kay just said, where it said they want people to believe in it. Maybe there's something about, if you believe in it, they could possibly feed from your energy of you believing in it. It makes you more susceptible to being controlled, or things like that. I suppose if you're skeptical, then when you don't believe in something, it's harder for it to have an effect on you, because you don't have any vested emotional interest in it. But
I don't know if
you can be controlled. Things could possibly happen. I don't even know.
I don't know if you've ever read, or have you ever read American Gods by Neil Gaiman?
No.
Or seen the TV series?
No, it's on Amazon Prime. Yeah, I wanted to watch it, and it's funny. I wanted to watch it, and I just saw that they've cancelled it. Like
okay, so I won't bother starting it then. But the book is really good. If you're not going to watch the series, I recommend reading the book.
Because they're all gods, isn't it? Something like that. There's
so essentially, these are all old gods. Essentially, in American Gods, these are all old gods. Like as you're in Jamaica, like Anansi, the spider, is a god.
Yeah.
In the book, but the trouble is, as people stop believing in them, they start to lose their powers, and they start to lose, their connection to the earth. And it's basically, a book about, like gods dying because people are finding new gods, and for them to carry on surviving, people need to start believing in them. And I think you've just upset my brother. It's okay that there are other programs out there, but I would just double check as well, because Davie can be wrong sometimes. But yes,
no, I'm 100% right. I'm awesome. When I've got this on, granted, this one isn't the best version of it, but when I wear the Davie P top, I'm not wrong. But because I was upset when I saw it. I was like, what? I wanted to watch it because it was on my list in my head of things that I wanted to actually watch.
So I wonder if there's like a similar thing going on here, where like they need a TVA to believe in them, and it may not give them any kind of like actual power, but it gives them, it's a way of ruling the TVA, and it's a way of getting power by using the individual power of their agents to do their bidding. No more Mr. Wednesday. I've got this image of my brother just crumpled in a heap, crying in the corner at the moment, in his flat.
The old feet.
Just like rocking backwards and forwards. I've still got the paper copy of the book, Cake, if you want to borrow that from me. But yes, I think that's the TVA. But let's start talking about Sylvie Lushton. So we find out that, she is called Sylvie Lushton. She is also the Enchantress. It's worth saying that in the comics, there is another actual Enchantress. God, I'm looking at my brother again. Was her real name Amara, or was Amara her sister? I can't remember, because she did have a sister. Was Lorelei her sister? Anyway, in the comics, So a quick comment here. It might be the case that any time variant characters discover the real reason of the sacred timeline, so that's why they're being captured. The sacred timeline is more sinister path. Absolutely. That's
That's what we said, that there's something going on, and that's why I think someone like Loki is a threat, because they're trying to keep him on their side, because if he goes against them, he's probably the one who's more likely possible to expose certain things.
And as we said last week, that's why they won't let robots into the TVA, because the robot will start working things out.
Right, and you can't bribe a machine, which is why they try to bribe Loki. They're saying, oh, if you behave yourself at the, and you work and you cooperate with us, at the end of it, you'll get to meet the timekeepers.
Oh, and another thing as well, I've just realized, Davian, you can't tamper with a robot's mind.
No.
You can reprogram it and stuff, but the way they've messed with the TVA members' minds to erase memories, maybe they can't do that to robots. Though I'm sure you could reprogram a robot, but it's just lots of things they can't do to an AI, which they can easily do to flesh and blood creatures.
Yeah.
But Sylvie,
I think you're right with that, because I think if with a robot, if they reprogram it or wipe the system, then they're gonna have to put things back on there. So whatever 100%. It would have had up until that point will be gone. So the things that they want to get rid of would be gone, as well as the things they didn't want to get rid of would be wiped out as well. So that would be making more work for themselves, which they'd have to keep repeating that loop. Whereas with a human, they can just go in and just take out what they need to take out, and they can still continue doing whatever as if nothing happened. Because the fact that Mobius has no knowledge of putting those glass down on the table without using the coasters shows that they're able to do it without him even realizing what's happened. Yeah. And I wonder if each of those glass, those little circles, it would be interesting to see how many circles, to go back and see how many circles on the table, because that could actually be an indication of how many times his mind has probably been wiped.
Absolutely. And another thing as well has just come to mind. Renslayer and Mobius mention another analyst. So Mobius is an analyst, but Mobius mentions another analyst, which he has seemingly never met, but works for Renslayer as well. I think the other analyst is just another Mobius variant.
Could be.
She's just got loads of different Mobiuses working for her. I've seen theories online that Mobius might be a Loki variant. That just doesn't sit with me.
Wouldn't surprise me. But
no.
I mean, the fact that if there was another Mobius, they could do the same thing, because if he's from a different timeline, different reality, in the sense, he may not look like that Mobius, so he would not be aware of it. And it's not as if he's got any powers where if he came in there, you would know straight away, like, oh, that's my ability, you must be me. So they could have, if they're hiding that Mobius, there must be a reason. Because if he doesn't look like that one, if that's the case, or unless the next one is another Loki, maybe it's a Loki, that's the other analyst.
Maybe he works in the Nightmare unit, which Mobius mentioned in the first episode.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot to be explained, and I think they're dropping these cool little kind of clues for us to think about. But yeah, Sylvie. So Sylvie, okay, I'm just going to say it. I still don't think Sylvie's a Loki variant.
No, I think it's a distraction to try and gain Loki's trust in a way. To prevent him from, in a way, to kind of prevent him from doing what they really need him to do. Because if he's distracted trying to figure out what's going on with that Loki variant, then that also stops him from actually really figuring out what's actually going on with the TVA. Because if you look at it, think about it, Manifi, that
Loki variant, aka Sylvie, was able to dodge the top agent Mobius and all these other, Renslayer, all these TVA agent wasn't able to actually capture. Yet still, she had trouble trying to get onto that ship to escape.
Yeah.
When that should be a very mediocre task to actually complete, to get on there without any issues whatsoever. And it took both of them working together to actually get on there. It took Loki first transforming into, shape-shifting into a god, and then it took her charming, one of the other gods.
Enchanting, David.
Oh, charming, same thing, you're charming him like, magic.
It's her name, the Enchantress. It's her name.
She enchanted him. So I think it's
more a Sylvie Russian than a Loki. Are you drunk?
True. She doesn't really have, no, in the sense like she's not really demonstrating the Loki behavior.
Oh, I see. Right.
Even her fighting style is not necessarily like Loki. She can fight.
When she was in the TVA offices, she was not holding back on those Minutemen. She was.
But if you notice,
kicking ass.
But she didn't erase all of them. She erased some, and some she just knocked out. Now, you could have easily have just, when you knocked them out, just erased them completely. But why didn't she? I
don't think it's anything that deep. I think she's just had the mission on her mind. If they're out of the way, doesn't matter if they're dead or alive. I just have to get to where I think the timekeepers are.
Yeah, but Manny, with a lot of them, she still had that rod that she could have just used, but she didn't. She just knocked them out and then walked. Some she did. This might be a case where, who knows? Maybe she actually works for the TVA.
That's a big leap.
Well, think about it. If you're, it's kind of like,
David, it's such a big leap. My robot made from cardboard boxes is laughing at you.
Yeah, but I might be right. Think about it. When an agent, like when an officer, you look at it like when an officer goes undercover, what do? They will get arrested. They'll do everything just to gain the trust of those.
This is very meta, and she's killed a lot of Minutemen as well.
Yeah, but as we can see, that the Minutemen ain't exactly, important. They were just Earthling or people from different planets, variants that they go out and kidnap.
Hey, Earthlings are important to me, okay? Important to me.
Well, not to the timekeepers. They can't even get a bloody, they can't even get a jet ski.
Okay, Sylvie, given Loki powers, works for classic Loki. Okay, so this is my theory around Sylvie.
Yeah, you said that last time.
Okay, I think Sylvie was given her powers by classic Loki, who's going to turn out to be Richard E. Grant. When Loki and Sylvie were having their chat on the train, she was very she wasn't very forthcoming about her history, was she? She kept it a bit vague about her. Loki says everything, whereas she says very little, which I think was kind of Sylvie playing Loki a bit as well. She's getting loads of information, whereas Loki isn't getting.
I think trying. I think that's the key word. I think she's trying to play Loki, but I think Loki's ahead of them because Loki, I don't know. Singing and dancing.
I think Loki was drunk at this point. Sylvie was pressed onto it. But anyway, and I think Richard E. Grant Loki has probably taught Sylvie these powers. Because Loki asks Sylvie, who taught you? And she says,
yeah, I taught myself.
I taught myself. But if she believes herself to be a Loki, then maybe when she says, I taught myself, she's actually referring to Richard E. Grant, classic Loki, teaching her the powers. So she didn't literally teach herself, but a version of a Loki taught her. Hence the reason she's saying, I taught myself. And though I don't think she's a Loki per se, I think because she might have been adopted by this classic Loki, possibly she considers herself a Loki through family. She said she had blips of memories. Yeah. Yeah, so she doesn't 100% know her own history anyway. Yeah, that's what I think Sylvie is.
Yeah, it could. I mean, interestingly, maybe it's a case. You know, like when she enchants someone and she touches them, she can actually communicate through them. Maybe if that's the case, you know, Richard E. Grant's Loki may have enchanted, for instance, the headband thing that she's wearing. And as long as she's got that, she will have some of his ability. But if she does not have it, then she doesn't have the abilities.
Maybe. I mean, the headband.
Like the conduits that works through her, but without that, you literally just you don't have anything.
Maybe. I mean, I think the headband probably might play a bigger role than what we thought. The two horns. Yeah. So, yeah, I still think there's a lot more to Sylvie than meets the eye. Do you think her postman comment was anything to be concerned about, or do you think it's just a throwaway comment?
Well, maybe it's a metaphor. I mean, what do postmen do? They deliver stuff.
They deliver, yeah.
Maybe that's the whole thing, to deliver a message to this Loki, maybe, or just to deliver a message, but we're not sure what that message is.
Yeah, one horn. Stanley. Yeah. Yeah, I just think, I think this, and again, I she could be the good guy as well. I'm still maintaining that Sylvie could be the good guy in all this.
Yeah. I think, or maybe she's working for the good guy, you know.
Yeah.
Who's for some reason not able to come out yet and show his hand just yet.
Oh, the postman. Oh, yes, the postman was Stanley, wasn't he, in one of the movies? So there also a postman called Willie Lumpkin in the comics, from what I recall, who was just a postman. He didn't have any powers. He was just literally a very good postman who done the U.S. Postal Service proud.
What about the most famous postman of them all, Postman Pat?
I mean, if Postman Pat ends up in the MCU, I mean, I'm going to love that personally.
With his cat.
I would love to see a fight between Jess the cat and the Flurkin cat from Captain Marvel. I mean, I think Jess personally would have that fight. But just have to wait and see. Okay, so just two more questions. People on the internet, I've got my notes here, sorry. They've been suggesting that Loki has stolen an Infinity Stone. And there's proof of it in this episode. So, you know, when they reach the city where the Ark is to escape, but he gets blown up and then suddenly all the buildings start falling down. There's a moment where there's a building about to fall on Loki.
Yes.
And Loki just like absolute ease, just like puts it, literally just reverses it. And lots of people on the internet are kind of suggesting, what if he sneakily took a time stone?
Yeah. I saw that as well, and I thought, how did that happen? Like, because
on those people from the internet, indeed, on those people, but they're smart. Some of those people on the internet.
Yeah, I believe so. I think there's some truth to that.
I think so. I think even though he was upset that the time stones were just paperweights, I still think Loki's smart enough to just sneak one.
I don't think Loki doesn't do things randomly. I think he picked a particular one for a particular reason.
Well, they're saying it's the time stone he stole.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised.
Because the way he does it looks like he reverses time on the building.
Yes.
Kind of the way Doctor Strange does in his movie.
Yeah, so he rewind it before that part of the building fell on him.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm quite down with that idea. I'm quite down with that. I think Loki's secretly been powering himself up. Just doing little bits just to get his power levels back up. But yeah, which leads on to the fight.
No, I think he's doing it. I think maybe he's doing it to find out what the bigger picture is, because we already know that the Infinity Stones as well as magic does not work in the TVA. So I think he needs to. I think he may have. It could possibly, like you said, the time stone. But I think it might be for a bigger reason, maybe to try and find out what's gone on. What were used to create that building. Why magic does not work inside there. You can't do anything inside there. There must be a reason why they've done that. Because if they're so powerful, then why would they be afraid of magic unless magic is the ultimate defense and offense against whatever is really going on inside there. So they have to have something to stop it from working inside there, or else it would expose everything what's really going on.
Maybe it's definitely possible. So the episode ends seemingly like they're all gonna die. They're all gonna die. This other planet is about to smash into Lamentis 1, and they're all gonna die. How do you think they're gonna get out of this predicament?
Well, it's if they don't, I think maybe it could possibly be something to do with the lady. The lady that shot them earlier. I think there may be more to her than we know.
Go on.
I think because that particular weapon that she had,
it packs a punch.
What she lived in, she literally was lived in literally it's like a little shed.
A shack.
And
a trailer. Like a trailer, basically.
Well, it wasn't even that big. It was tiny. It kind of looked like one of those garden shed. What we have, literally like a garden shed. She went to B&Q or home base, whatever you guys have wherever you are around the world. But we have B&Q and home base. She went down there and bought one of those put together ones. You just do it yourself. And she set it up. But to have that kind of weapon inside there, maybe there's something else. Maybe she knows more than.
She's packing a bit more than. She might have a little spaceship tucked away somewhere which hasn't told anybody about.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what unfolds with her next week. But also, even if that doesn't work, I think the TVA will possibly arrive, because as far as I've dissected from this, everything that happens in an apocalypse is what's supposed to already happen. So if something is not supposed to happen, then they have to step in and make that right. Correct?
Yeah.
I.e., if you weren't supposed to escape the planet in that ship, and you're trying to escape, then somehow they would appear and sabotage the ship to make you go back on the planet to die if you're meant to die. So, i.e., Loki's not from there. So, in theory, he shouldn't be on there. He shouldn't die. So, if that's the case, then, and I doubt that they would have let him go without not having some kind of tracker on him to be able to track to see where he's going. So maybe they've been tracking him this entire time, but they're trying to see who is the person behind. If there's, I think, right, this is my whole theory. I think there's someone behind. I think there is a possible, like maybe the timekeeper or whoever is running the show. They may have placed something on Loki. They know that Sylvie isn't the big boss. And I think they maybe want to try and find out who's that. So they're going to do enough, like give him enough rope to try and do the work for them. So in a case like this, where if they think, oh, he's going to die, then they're going to intervene and make that right, get them out of there. But I don't think they want to reveal just yet their hand, because if they do, they'll be like, well, hang on, that means you've been watching me all this time. So you could have done this, you could have done that, and it would make Loki more suspicious. So yeah, that could also be the case, 2K, and maybe another Loki appears, but I think it's either going to be that woman in the shed or trailer park.
Shed woman.
Yeah, the shed woman with the big, galactic gun type thing. Maybe that's a Loki, because
Maybe we're all Lokis.
Yeah, maybe that was only set to stun. Now think about it. If you was really in fear and you wanted to like stop like, all these kind of rogue people trying to like, rampage and destroy you and kill you because the world is ending, you would have had your thing set to kill.
Yeah.
So the minute someone opened the door, you would kill them, but she didn't. She had it set for stun on both of them.
Because she's a nice person.
Even when he changed into her husband, who she was waiting for, she still didn't kill him. She still just stunned him. So it might be that person, or it might be, I think that's one of the three now since Casey.
The one with the big reverse Hoover. It's basically a Henry Hoover, but the way they look in 2077, they've really upgraded.
Yeah, so that's my theory. It's one of those three.
Okay.
Loki, another Loki, the Hoover woman in the shed, or the TVA coming to the rescue, coincidentally.
My theory is another Loki appears. I think the TVA would prefer it if Loki and Sylvie died. So they're perfectly okay with them two dying in this apocalyptic event. So I think, so for that reason, I don't think it'll be the TVA who will come and rescue them. Unless Mobius does it off his own back, because Mobius is playing his own game. I think more likely another Loki possibly comes in, and possibly I think episode 4 we might see the debut of Richard E. Grant. I'm hoping it's Richard E. Grant swoops in, says a few lines from Love Actually, and saves the day.
Yeah,
I've never seen Love Actually.
It could possibly be that because we're coming down to the final stretch of it now because it's 6 episodes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. And that's going to be episode 4 next week. So we'll see. I mean, today's Friday, so we haven't got long to go. Counting down the days till the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking so forward to the next episode. And I'm off from work for the week, so I'll be able to watch it first thing on Wednesday morning when it comes out, which will be amazing. So before we finish off, is there any other points from the episode you want to bring up? Those are the main questions that I had.
Yeah. I just think it would be interesting to know where all these, if it all gets revealed, to know where all these possible, maybe that's how the multiverse gets born. Once all the TVA agents and Minutemen gets told the truth that you weren't created by the timekeepers, you were actually kidnapped by the timekeepers, and you're from this time and that time, and maybe Richard E. Grant Loki will actually just cause the rebirth of all the different multiverses to actually return everyone back to where they was, and that's how the multiverse gets born. Who knows?
Have you seen the Shang-Chi trailer yet? I haven't.
Yeah.
That is on my list of things to do today. But apparently that looks really good. And
yeah, I saw it when it came a while ago.
No, there's a new one. There's a new trailer.
Oh, there's a new trailer.
Yeah, you're gonna have to tell me, is Abomination in this trailer? Because I've read the headline saying that there's a major Hulk villain in the trailer. It should be quite interesting if he is in the trailer. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've got anything else to add regarding Loki. It was another solid episode.
Yes, delivery excellent, on point yet again.
Yeah, okay. Abomination is going to be in Shang-Chi. That's just mad. I was so excited he said it twice. Yes.
So the first time he did yes.
Yes.
yes. So yes, now he's just said yes. Correct spelling and all.
Well done. We should start giving out prizes for who does the best grammar. Who has the best grammar during these streams. I'm excited for episode 4. I thought visually this episode was very good. I loved the way Lamentis looked and the colors and everything.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, it looked great.
But yeah, so yeah, we've done an hour. We actually got it to an hour exactly, which I'm so pleased about. So, David, do you want to do the parting words for the beautiful people at home?
Yes, beautiful people. Thank you all once again for tuning in, making all this worth it, with all the interaction and everything. And for all those who love the reactions, we're going to be putting out some more music, especially now we know that the Duke is going to be off all week. I'm going to be doing lots of reaction and sending to him. So keep those likes and comments coming and increasing the subscription. So yes, that's it for me really. And yeah, until next week.
Just my hand. Bye.